What's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new video. I get asked one question so many times a month, and that is, what cars can you import into South Africa? I'm going to tell you right now. Now, before I tell you what cars you can import into South Africa, you need to know one thing. And we have ITAC. ITAC is the governing body that allows what you can import and what you can't import. They also deal with exports out of the country, but we don't care about that right now. So basically, they have compiled this list that doesn't exist on paper anywhere. Even if you ask them if, let's say, an RX-7 is on the list, when you know it is on the list, they will tell you that they're not sure. They'll need to check that if it's on the list. Please send them specs of the vehicle. So ITAC are very difficult to deal with. Somehow someone has built a list for them and they just stick to this list and they don't care otherwise. I'm busy working on a petition to try and get the S15 Silvia set up with ITAC so that they can allow it as a collector's item, because I do believe it is a collector's item. And well, there's a list of cars that I know are collectible. The first being a true Japanese supercar, rear wheel drive, mid-engine, absolute beast, the Honda NSX. It is the only Honda that I know anything about, and unfortunately for me, it's just a little bit too pricey for it to kind of be in my garage. But diving into it, the Honda NSX, I found two examples at the auctions. This particular example sold for $37,857 US, and this one for $38,000 US. So I'm going to tell you now how much that cost to land in South Africa. So roughly, if you're to land one of these, bear in mind that this is the automatic model. I cannot find a manual one that's sold in the last 3 months, unfortunately. This is the only price I have for an automatic, and we're estimating, or kind of working out on the price of $38,000. This takes into account shipping, it takes into account all the fees that are here, the fees in Japan. They do radiation checks in Japan, they do shake and deregistration fees. There's a bunch of fees that you're going to be paying for, which is roughly $550 to $700 US dollars on the Japanese end. And then there's shipping and NRCS fees that you got to pay, weighbridge, data dot, etc. So I've taken that all into account, and I'm just going to give you the numbers going forwards for all the cars now that you understand what sort of costs are involved. So if you wanted to bring in this particular automatic Honda NSX, you'll be looking at 725,000 Rand landed, registered on the road, roughly. Now moving on to a true legend, Godzilla itself, the R32 GTR. I own one of these. I bought one in 2013. I knew the prices were going up. Thankfully, I bought one. Unlucky for me, I had the option of either getting a 33 or maybe paying a little bit extra and getting a 34, and I thought, oh, I'll just get it in the future, it'll be fine. And now, yeah, it's pretty much unobtainable to get a 34. So I found two examples at the auction. The first being this 1991 grade with 115,000 kilometers. It's an RDED exterior E interior, which means it's not great at all. It's well below average. But yeah, anyway, you get the idea of the price, 23,000 US dollars. And then I found this one, also similar specs. So we're talking cars that are below average here. If you want something better, you got to pay more than this. You're going to pay roughly 28,000 US dollars. So we're working on an average here of 25 for a car that is below average. Okay, so with regards to pricing, I've taken an average of the two. I've taken an average of the two of all the vehicles that I've found over the last month or two, and I've calculated the price, which includes, and you need to know this, the fees in Japan. So that means procuring the vehicle from an auction house. I'm using Japan partners. They're based in Nagoya. Let's say the vehicle is in Yokohama. They got to pay for a carrier to get to Nagoya for you. So you got to pay for that. You got to do radiation payments, radiation checks. You got to do a shake and deregistration check. So all of that, it estimates between $550 to $1,000. So I'm just working on a flat rate of $700 for that. Then you got to pay for shipping, which is row shipping that I'm calculating all of this on, roll off, which means the vehicle needs to be in a running condition. That's roughly $1,300 US dollars plus minus. And then there's VAT that you got to pay, 15%, and then there's duties with SARS, which is 25% that you have to pay for the vehicle. Then there's a few small fees which I've also included, and that's weighbridge, data dot, NRCS fees when the car is here in South Africa, and then obviously your CRR and licensing. That being said, taking all of that into account, I have worked out an average of all these vehicles. The Honda NSX, bear in mind that this is a fully automatic model. I could not find over the last 3 months a manual version at the auctions. Yes, I know there's retail places that do sell Honda NSXs and all these other vehicles, but I'm particularly looking at the auctions because the pricings are generally better. So you're looking at an average working on a rate of $38,000 that this vehicle will be landed for 860,000 Rand. That's registered on the road, done. Now the price that I've worked out on average for a GTR R32 that is under average condition, the price for this vehicle landed will be roughly 580,000 Rand. If you want to get something that's about average spec, you're going to be in for about 640,000 Rand landed, which is expensive these days because the US market has driven up the price so much. The next one is the R33, which is currently available for import into the United States, which means the price has risen quite a bit too. I've taken these two vehicles. This one has got a BB grading, so I mean it's better than average, which is great. It's also got decent mileage, 66,000 kilometers, and this one has got 60,000 kilometers with also an average interior and exterior, 3.5 overall grading, meaning it's above average. Has some modifications, haven't gone through the entire thing yet, but it looks like a cool car. And the average between these two landed, you're looking at 680,000 Rand to 700,000 Rand landed for an R33 GTR. Now wrapping up on all the GTR models, we're going to take a look at the R34, but before that, you have to remember that we are not allowed the GT, GTSs, GTSTs, etc. These vehicles need to be brought in as a returning resident, meaning you have to go work overseas for 12 months, own the vehicle, and then you can legally bring back anything as long as it's right-hand drive. If it's left-hand drive, what I'm aware of, you have to get that car converted, but we're not talking about that, we're talking about JDM vehicles in particular. Now the R34 GTR, very pricey still. The cheapest one I was able to find was $97,900 US, and then the most expensive was $112,000 US. These are base model or V spec, some of them. Here's a base model, this one's a V spec. We're not talking NER specs and all of that. These are normal ones that are sold at the auction, not retail price. I took an average of $103,000 US, calculated, landed in South Africa, you're looking at 2.3 million Rand. I'm also working on a 15 Rand exchange rate because it fluctuates so much. 15 Rand is just the easiest to do. Now that we're out of the way with the fire-breathing Godzillas, let's go look at some tofu. Yes, you all know what I'm talking about. We're talking about the AE86 Sprinter Triano. Now, I found two that sold at the auctions over the last 2 months, and the pricing was quite different. And that's because of the grading, really. So the first one I found was $27,000 US, 139,000 kilometers. Very, very good for its age, 1985. The next one, 1986, 118,000 US. Both grading average, very good cars. I've gone for a price right in the middle and landed this vehicle will see you in at 500 plus minus 1,000 Rand. Now we all know, well, because I mentioned in the beginning of the video, but the RX-7 FD3S is eligible for importation as a collector's item. And this varies in price range because there are so many variations in specs that most of these other guys didn't get. When I say other guys, I mean other manufacturers didn't apply to their vehicles. The RX-7 is the Type RS, the Type R, the Type RZ, the Touring X, the Bathurst, the Type RB. The list goes on. It's crazy. So I'm looking at trying to look at base models. The first one that I found sold for 9,333, which is very cheap considering what it is, 69,000 kilometers. And the other one sold for 24,000 US with 64,000 kilometers. So both of them low mileage. This one's a Type RX. It's a Type RS, which is actually what I have. My silver one is a Type RS, so the value is obviously going to be a lot higher. Again, I just worked in the middle. Gone are the days, the halcyon days are now gone where you would find a vehicle that is cheap. Like when I bought mine, I was picking up the RX-7s, the black one. I'm not going to say the silver one's price, but the black one, $2,000 US landed. Sorry, bought at the auctions, not landed. 90,000 rand landed. And now you cannot find something the same grading as my black one for less than 9,000 US dollars plus minus. It's unbelievable. So if you had to work in the middle of these two, you're going to be looking at about 360,000 rand to 400,000 rand importing an RX-7 FD3S in South Africa registered on the road, which is decent. But that also means that our local prices are quite cheap. So if you're watching this and you're in the market for an RX-7, I'll go snatch one of the ones up that are already up for sale. Now, unfortunately for us, there are only 3 other vehicles that are allowed in South Africa as collector's items. One of them being the Stagia Orion 260 RS. I was only able to find one of these for sale, and this one sold in April. There was nothing else going back 3 months ago at the auctions. It sold for 20,000 US dollars. Average spec. If you don't know what Stagia is, this basically is a GTR station wagon. It has got an RB26, and it's an absolute demon of wagon. This one in particular has a whole host of gritty gauges, which looks pretty cool. Stock Momo wheel. Don't know what else is done to the car. It's got some rims on it. It's got the stock mats, got the stock seats. Such a cool car. Anyway, 20,000 US dollars would see this vehicle in South Africa at 470,000 rand, which is actually not so bad considering what you get. It's cheaper than the 32 GTR, the 34 and the 33. Then the last 2 vehicles, it's really the battle of the rallies. It's the Subaru versus Mitsubishi. We only allowed 2 into the country, unfortunately, as collectibles. The Mitsubishi, we're allowed the Tommy Mackinnon edition, which is incredibly hard to find at the moment at the auctions. Nothing has passed by in the last 3 months. So what I did is I found 2 Evo 6s, and the pricing is 15,000 US dollars for a normal Evo 6. We can't bring this one in, it has to be the Tommy Mac. And then this one, which sort of looks like a Tommy Mac, missing a few odds and ends and the stickers and all that, 21,000 US dollars. So I've worked this out roughly 25,000 US dollars from my memory is what I found one at the auctions months and months and months ago, possibly over a year ago. 25,000 US dollars, that would land you at 530 to 560,000 rand registered on the road. Now the last vehicle, I haven't seen one at the auctions for over 2 years, is the Subaru Impreza 22B. The 22B just recently sold. There was one that just recently sold for 312,000 US dollars. Last year there was also one that sold for roughly 300,000 US dollars. But that is a lot of money for something. I mean, it's very rare. They made limited numbers, 399. Okay, but for something that is that old, and it's not that much better of a spec than a P1 STR version 6. I mean, there's so many rare variants out there. There's a Richard Burns model, which is the UK model. There was the P1, also UK model. There's quite a few, but this was the true, I don't know how to word this, but when you play in Gran Turismo or any other racing game, or look at manga and anime, it's always a 22B. When you're looking at that style, the GC8 variants, it's the 22B that's out there. And everybody knows the 22B for its wide body and flares and all that stuff, but truly unobtainable at the moment, especially at the auctions. Those, my friends, are the only vehicles currently that you're allowed into South Africa as collector's items. Like I said, anything else, you've got to be a returning resident, or you can import other stuff. You can import an S15 Silver, but you have to bring it in as a race car. And that's unfortunate. Anyway, I am working on a petition. I need to get off my lazy ass and finish things and hand it over to a friend of mine who is a copywriter, and he's going to sort things out for me, and then we're going to fight the good cause. I probably can't afford one right now, actually for a while, because of my kids, and I've got 6 cars outside. I'm stupid. Anyway, I can't afford it right now, but I'd love to get these cars into the hands of South Africans at as collectibles. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.